Good morning. My name is Christine Hutchins, and I serve as San Jose State University's Head of Communications and Marketing. Thank you for joining us today. We have exciting news to share. We also have a distinguished panel of speakers and university representatives who will give their remarks. The order of our 8 speakers will be San Jose State University President, Dr. Mary Papazian, California Senator Jim Bell, California Assembly Member Ash Kaura, City of San Jose Mayor Sam Liccardo, Santa Clara Supervisor Cindy Chavez, San Jose State University student and Vice President of Student Homeless Alliance Brianna Brown, Chair of Academic Senate and Associate Professor Ravisha Mathur, Chair of Staff Council Janet Sundrud. At the end of the remarks, I will come back to the podium and help moderate media questions to the panel of speakers. A microphone will be made available to our members of the media. At the end of the press conference, the media relations team will provide a guided tour to SJSU Cares, our basic needs program office that is under construction. And we will assist members to the Alquist building as well. Now, let's begin our press conference with San Jose State University President, Dr. Mary Papazian.
Thank you, Christine, and welcome to San Jose State University. And thank you all for being with us this morning. I especially would like to thank Senator Jim Bell, Assemblymember Ash Kaura, Mayor Sam Liccardo, and Supervisor Cindy Chavez for joining us today. And I'd also like to recognize the CEO of the Bill Wilson Center, Sparky Harlan, and Destination Homes CEO, Jennifer Loving. They have joining us today as guests. We are grateful for all the members of our South Bay delegation for their ongoing support of higher education and for the roles they have played in the initiatives we are proud to announce today. Homelessness and housing insecurity, as we all know, is both a regional and nationwide problem. Indeed, it is one of the most urgent issues of our time. Though housing insecurity touches communities across the country to varying degrees, it feels especially acute here in Silicon Valley due to the skyrocketing cost of housing. The issue has a direct impact on our mission here at San Jose State, and it continues to cry out for meaningful solutions. Our need for more housing reminds us that students are just like the rest of us. They concern themselves first with their basic needs, and only when those are met can they pursue any higher needs like their studies and education. This is well articulated in Cal State's Basic Needs Initiative. Well, help is around the corner. Today, we have exciting news to share with you. Help with affordable housing is on the way. We are announcing a comprehensive housing solution designed to help our entire campus community, especially our students, faculty, and staff. In a moment, I will outline some of the specifics, though you can find even more detail in the press release that I believe you all have been given. You also can visit the SJSU newsroom online to find the news release. At San Jose State, we talk a lot about collaboration and teamwork, often in the context of higher education and the learning environment. But it also applies to complex issues such as housing insecurity. So I want to acknowledge the team effort and collaborative spirit that made these solutions possible. Comprehensive solutions require comprehensive support, and that is precisely what we have seen with this set of initiatives. We have been building and working on these issues for some time now, arriving at these solutions over the course of several months and years. We have had superb cooperation from state and local government resources, the nonprofit sector, community and civic organizations, our student body population, and my own leadership team here at San Jose State. I want to thank all of them for helping us to tackle these thorny and often difficult issues. What we are unveiling today is a proactive, comprehensive set of solutions to our student, staff, and faculty housing crisis. One that we believe promises to be a game changer for both San Jose State as well as downtown San Jose. Here are a few of the highlights. First, we are delighted to announce our plans to construct a mixed-use project on the site of the Alfred E. Alquist Building that includes parking, retail, office space, food service, and between 800 and 1,200 units of housing, intended primarily for SJSU faculty, staff, graduate students, and students with families. What this likely means is a public-private project that will enhance the entire Paseo region of downtown. The multi-purpose project we envision will result in affordable, below-market rate units that we absolutely must have at this university if we are to continue attracting the best and most accomplished and most diverse talent to our campus. With the development of the Alquist Building is completed, it may very well be one of the most important projects ever completed at San Jose State. If done well, it will help our faculty and staff, it would help in the revitalization of downtown, and ultimately it will help our students. I especially would like to acknowledge and thank Senator Bell and Assemblymember Kalra for working tirelessly with my leadership team to help make this happen. Give them a round of applause. Together, they requested to allocate $250,000 in initial planning capital from the state's general fund to begin planning for a mixed-use housing initiative on the Alquist site. It means the world to our university to have legislators like you in our corner, so thank you. Secondly, we are announcing receipt of nearly $2.3 million in grants from the state over the next 18 months. Funds that will be used specifically to address student housing and basic needs in security. And that is just the beginning. When all is said and done, more than $3 million in grant funding will be made available to us over the next 3 years for the distinct purpose of addressing housing and basic needs. I am grateful to the San Jose State Cares team, whose commitment to enhancing students' basic needs resulted in the award of these important grants based on their submitted proposals. More information about these grants and how they will support our students can be found in our press release. We are grateful to Governor Newsom and his support of the Cal State University system that has made these funds possible. Even more financial resources will be available as part of our comprehensive program by way of a special housing grant for San Jose State students who have the least financial resources. This is meant to help these students who need it most. And finally, we are all pleased with our ongoing collaborative work with SJSU's Student Homeless Alliance and associated students. This dedicated group of students has been instrumental in bringing attention to the housing insecurity issue on campus and working collaboratively with campus leadership to help identify viable solutions. No voices are more important on these issues than those of our students. As a result of collaborative discussions, we anticipate the launch or expansion of the following 3 initiatives. First, the launch of a pilot program in fall 2020 that will set aside 12 or more beds for emergency housing purposes to better understand the scope of the need. Secondly, the expansion of rapid rehousing and rental assistance services for those students facing an urgent housing insecurity situation. And finally, the opening of a dedicated SJSU Cares space in Clark Hall, designed collaboratively by students and staff at the university. Again, our students asked for a more close-knit relationship and partnership with our SJSU Cares program, and that is what we are committed to delivering. For those of you who may not know, SJSU Cares is our comprehensive support and referral program that assists students who are facing an unforeseen economic crisis. SJSU Cares provides direct support and referrals around basic needs, including food, housing, emergency assistance, and more. An important feature of this new SJSU Cares space in Clark Hall will be a satellite office of the Bill Wilson Center. This facility, of course, provides a wide variety of housing, education, counseling, and advocacy programs throughout Santa Clara County. We recently joined forces with CEO Sparky Harlan and Mayor Liccardo on another housing initiative, this one with Airbnb, and we will be delighted to have the Bill Wilson Center co-located on our campus. So strengthening our collaborative efforts with student representatives on student housing insecurity issues is a critical part of the sweeping solutions we are announcing today. Together, we will continue to address housing insecurity in meaningful ways. In addition to all of these exciting and meaningful initiatives and plans that help comprise our comprehensive set of housing solutions, there are even more components to the plan that are in various stages of development. Planning continues, for example, on our Campus Village 3 residential housing facility. In addition, we are exploring the opportunity to develop a comprehensive, multi-sector, post-secondary residential community off-campus that addresses the needs of the community and can work as a possible partnership between San Jose State, community colleges, community organizations, businesses, the City of San Jose, and Santa Clara County. SJSU welcomes interested multi-sectoral partners to join this game-changing conversation and explore this conversation and concept further. There is much work to do, but as I said at the outset, help is on the way, real, tangible, meaningful solutions that we believe will make a difference. Before I invite Senator Bell up to the podium, let me just say that a comforting and supportive environment that provides for the basic needs of our students is a must for our campus and the success of all our students. Likewise, the only way we will continue to attract and retain the highest caliber and most diverse faculty and staff is to help make this city and this region affordable to them. Sustainable and holistic housing solutions are a vital component to all of this. We firmly believe that the solutions we are unveiling today are meaningful, doable, sustainable, and the right thing to do for the future of San Jose State University and the city of San Jose. With that, I am delighted to ask Senator Bell to come up to the podium. Jim.
Thank you, Madam President. A little taller than her. Okay, thank you. I wanted to express my appreciation for the university and the president for her remarks. It was really exciting to hear the news from San Jose State, and as I'm sure the whole community in Silicon Valley is going to be very excited. And thank you for joining us today. Now, today's announcements are very meaningful to me, having been an alumni here. And actually, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my mom and dad meeting here at San Jose State. I don't know if you know that or not. But, they came here, got married, had 10 kids, 7 of which went to San Jose State. I think our family has at least a dozen degrees here. But back in the 70s, I was a student at San Jose State, and I was a student housing coordinator. We had students that were discriminated against in terms of their fair housing, and my job was to protect those students and work with those students and fighting for affordable housing and helping homeless students. We didn't have all the organizations or anything like that in those days. In fact, as it turns out, I had a room on 15th Street, and a lot of the students actually crashed there when they didn't have housing. So I was sort of a Bill Wilson Center in those days. But my student organizing paved the way for my career in politics and dedicated to fighting for affordable housing. For the many years I was working with the San Jose State and trying to expand campus and provide more housing opportunities for students, faculty, and staff. The Silicon Valley region has median rents that are among the highest in the nation, and San Jose State really loses faculty or staff candidates quite frequently due to housing cost. Okay, that's a real problem we have here. We have an urban campus. It's almost impossible to expand it to meet the needs of the growing community, but we have an opportunity with this Alquist building. And we started looking at the potential of the state-owned Alquist building. It's, of course, right next to light rail, transit-oriented development. It's an amazing location. But the building is really kind of an unsafe and unpleasant place to work. So it's been declared obsolete by the General Services Administration of the state. I just want to point that out. It also has some other problems. It doesn't really meet the needs of the people in San Jose that need the services from the state. I'll give you an example, the disabilities, the Department of Rehabilitation. It's horrible to traverse the building if you're blind or disabled. So I suggest that it doesn't meet any kind of public accommodation standard that we now pronounce we have today. So it could be much more for San Jose, much more for our students and for our city and our state. That's why we started working with the state to push them for letting San Jose State develop the housing and classroom and multi-use property on this site. We've been making the case for some time, and I don't want to go into all the 25 or so meetings we've had on this subject, but finally the state has agreed to let San Jose State make a new plan for this building. As the project is planned, it will emphasize affordable housing, and we're committed to making it a real opportunity, not just the highest paid faculty, but for staff and graduate students and other students to live near the campus. I want to give a real shout out for my colleague and Assemblyman Cholera for his he is just as committed as I am emotionally and politically to this project. We also want to give a shout out to the governor. The governor has directed his departments to come up with surplus sites. They actually came up with 100, and guess what? This site was one of them. So we do have a lot of full support through the legislature, and I'm proud and excited to see this vision become a reality of the housing that we need for our campus. And I'd also like to thank our local officials, our mayor, Sam Liccardo, for his fine work on housing and in particular support of this. And also my fellow Spartan, Cindy Chavez. But most of all, thanking the students and the staff of the university that's what we're doing this for our students, staff, faculty of the university. And it's a place where we love. We have this attachment to this university lifelong, and it will continue as long as I'm alive. Thank you very much.
Next speaker, Assemblymember Ash Kaura.
Good morning. I'm certainly proud to be here today with my colleagues as well as representatives from both the administration and students alike. It's really an important day, I think, for the future of our city and even more significantly for the future of this university. I want to start by recognizing and commending the Student Homeless Alliance for their steadfast advocacy on social justice issues and shedding light on the greater needs for student. And there's no doubt that in large part the reason that we're here today is because of the Student Homeless Alliance and their work to increase attention to this important issue over many, many years and prior administrations, even many prior administrations. But I want to specifically give credit to the current leadership of the Student Homeless Alliance and for the work they've done, certainly keeping us apprised of the issues that have been affecting them. And I also, at the same time, want to commend President Papazian and San Jose State University for their commitment to working with the Student Homeless Alliance. I think in years past, we would not see a press conference with both sitting together and speaking together. And that, I think, is a huge sign of progress in terms of trying to make sure that we're dealing with an issue that is so challenging. Not just, I mean, if you think about it, all of San Jose, all of Silicon Valley is struggling. And San Jose State University, not only are they not immune to the housing crisis, they're especially vulnerable to the housing crisis, both the faculty, staff, and especially students. And so seeing everyone trying to come together to figure this vexing problem out is critically important at this time. I certainly want to thank Senator Bell, who really has taken this on, especially in his final year in the Senate, as something of great importance, given not only his attachment to San Jose State, but his commitment to issues of housing and homelessness, and making sure that we do what we can to bring compassion to our legislation and to our budgetary decisions. And of course, Mayor Sam Liccardo and the city, I know, has been working very closely with the San Jose State University, and hopefully as the university looks to expand its footprint, as the city always has an appreciation for our kind of our most proud downtown resident, the one that we're most proud of, San Jose State. I know that the mayor will continue that work, and I think that it's been great to see the city and the county really laser focus on housing. I want to thank our president of the Board of Supervisors, Cindy Chavez, for her deep commitment to the issue of housing and homelessness, and of course to our students. And I think we have the right partners in place here to get things done. But now, going forward is when a lot of the very difficult work begins. And I want to say that what's being announced today is certainly an important step forward, but it's one of many steps that we need to take to address the challenges our students with great need face. And I really like having an office downtown. It's actually a great location. But I will say, in agreement with Senator Bell, that this 90s administrative chic look just doesn't fit with what's happening in downtown. And that maybe in 1980, a three-story office building with massive courtyards that no one uses may have worked then. But in 2020, we got to do better. And I think we can do better for our students, for our faculty, for our staff, and we can do better for the residents of San Jose and of this state. And so I look forward to what's coming ahead. We do have a long way to go, but today's announcement is a significant demonstration of the impact that the students have had in raising this issue, as well as the lengths that the administration and the campus has gone in working to serve some of its most at-risk students. So thank you so much.
Next, Mayor Sam Liccardo.
Well, good morning. I'm so proud to be here. And as I was sitting there listening to President Papazian and my colleagues representing us in the legislature, I was reminded of the African proverb that tells us that if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And I want to commend President Mary Papazian because she gets this in her leadership. It was her efforts to bring so many of us together to push together to ensure that the downtown's most important institution, its anchor institution, and its viability could get beyond the extraordinary threats that we know confront so many of our residents and our employers, that is this housing crisis. And we are going to push together for housing solutions, and I appreciate President Papazian's leadership in this regard. I really want to thank everyone who has pulled together in so many ways. I want to thank Patrick Day and his work in San Jose State Cares, all of the individuals who have been part of this effort, and really again commend Brianna and the Students Homeless Alliance for the work they have done over several months in particular. Had the pleasure of sitting down with them at City Hall and really understanding better the challenges they are facing on a daily basis. And we know that it is hard enough for our students. I've taught here for a couple years and understood how many of my students depended on more than one job just to be able to get through. At a time when we know it's hard to get classes, we know that we're bursting at the seams here at San Jose State. And with all the challenges they have, the last thing they need to be thinking about is where they're going to sleep at night. being able to address those concerns squarely, I know, is at the top of President Papazian's agenda, and this initiative really reflects that. I want to really commend all the folks in the city who have been working hard to try to help support this effort. Our role has really been to try to see how we can bring partners to the table. Really thrilled that we were to find Sparky Harlan and Bill Wilson Center has been doing such amazing work in our city for so many years. They've been instrumental not just in this partnership with Airbnb and bringing their funds and their resources to that effort, but in applying for grants to the state, which are now bearing fruit. We appreciate her work there, and now co-locating in San Jose State campus. That is, I think, a great move for all involved. Certainly want to thank Dr. Scott Myers-Lipton for his efforts in facilitating the students and ensuring that their voice would be heard, and clearly it was. And all the folks who have stepped up throughout our community. Our President of the Board of Supervisors, Cindy Chavez, who I know was pushing all along, as well as Jennifer Loving at Destination Home. And of course, these two gentlemen who just spoke before me, who are going to enable us to transform what has never quite made the list of the world's architectural treasures, the Elquest Building. So we look forward to something vibrant and beautiful, supplanting whatever might be there today. And we expect there will be lots of Spartan pride as well as downtown pride in whatever emerges. Thank you all.
Next, Supervisor Cindy Chavez.
Well, good morning, everyone. You guys, we're going to build a bunch of housing. I want some more energy than that. This is a very, very exciting day that we have ahead of us. Let me start with the universal thank yous to all of these folks and really to everybody up on the dais and everybody in the audience. Here's the thing about San Jose State that I don't know, unless you've been here, you fully appreciate. We really are the workhorse of Silicon Valley. We are the engineers, we are the nurses, we're the media, we are the policymakers. San Jose State has been producing the leadership of this community for generations. Why is that important? It's important because the people who get into this university, who can stay at this university, who can graduate from this university, are the ones who are going to change the world. That means that we need to have lots of places for people, irrespective of their income, to be able to live here and be able to accomplish their dreams and their goals. So the reason I am so grateful, really, to my fellow Spartan, really, honestly, is Jim is part of a legacy. I want you to think about this for a moment. Jim was one of those people who went in and applied for apartments, got accepted when African American students didn't. He did that decades ago. You know, Ash Kalra has been a champion for working poor and for poor people for a long time, a champion for San Jose State. And even though our mayor didn't go to San Jose State, he loves it as if he did. And that's huge. That's huge. Now, to the students of the Student Homeless Alliance, thank you for creating the vision and the perspective that really allowed for us to think more deeply about this problem. And I want to end with Dr. Papazian and her staff. You know, I have been here long enough to meet many presidents. And I don't mean that's not a bad thing. You guys all made a sound. But here's the point I wanted to raise. I think it is so powerful that we sit here today looking at opportunities to build not just 800 units, but thousands of opportunities for people to live safely near where they work and where they go to school. And what I feel so appreciative of, Dr. Papazian, of you and your team, is your openness to feedback from the community, not just the Student Homeless Alliance, but all of us, because we've been very persistent with you and sometimes annoying, and you've been kind about that. But also that you really have a vision and a heart for this community that makes me really excited for the next steps as we go forward. So I, as part of the county, we will be looking forward to participating particularly in the rapid rehousing, because I think that's a role that we, along with the city of San Jose, will and can play. And to the students, I expect that if we don't keep it on the straight and narrow, we will hear from you again. Thank you for letting me join you this morning.
Next, San Jose State student and Vice President of Student Homeless Alliance, Brianna Brown.
Hello, everyone. Oop, can you hear me? A little short. All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Brianna Brown, and I'm the Vice President of SHAW, the Student Homeless Alliance. I may be the one speaking for SHAW today, but SHAW is not just one face. We are an entire team of diligent SJSU students and faculty who have dedicated hundreds of hours to this cause. I would like to give a special recognition to our officers, Diana, Lana, Elsa, and Ashley, who couldn't be here today. From our lived experiences as college students and listening to our peers, we put forward a series of recommendations to the administration. Over the past 3 months, we have had numerous meetings together, and what we are presenting here today is the result of the collaboration. While Shaw sees this as just the beginning steps, our achievements are very significant. Our collective work with the administration has produced a number of tangible programs, such as the 12 or more emergency bed pilot program, a rental assistance program, a centralized location for SJSU cares, and a handful of other improvements. As we move forward, Shaw will continue to be involved in this work as a member of the Basic Needs Advisory Board, ensuring that students' voices guide SJSU's next steps. Some of the key areas Shaw will be promoting on the advisory board are to make the emergency bed programs permanent and to provide more beds, to provide more funds for the rapid rehousing and rental assistance program, and to set aside a minimum of 15% of CV3 in the Alaquest building for low-income and housing insecure students at below market rates. Shaw wants to thank President Papazian, others in the administration, and Supervisor Cindy Chavez for collaborating with us. Having our voices heard means the world to us. This program announced today may have been created at some point in the future, but is happening now because of us, the students. To those who don't believe, you can better your community by getting involved in social action. We hope you find your voice from our efforts and take action. We are very excited for the future of our fellow Spartans, so let this be an example to all other CSUs. Incredibly, there are 53,000 students experiencing homelessness within the CSU system. In the coming months, Shaw will be working on a statewide solution to this housing crisis, but today, we are grateful that SJSU has taken a major step toward meeting the basic needs of our students. Thank you.
Next, Chair of Academic Senate and Associate Professor Ravisha Mathur.
Thank you, Christine. As a faculty member who has been working at San Jose State for over 15 years, one of the biggest challenges our faculty face, like many others in the region, has been a lack of affordable housing. The comprehensive housing plan will be really great for our faculty and staff. The development of the Alquist building will ensure that we have better housing alternatives. It is very important for our faculty to be close to our campus. It strengthens our connections to our students. It helps us become a more active part in all aspects of San Jose State. It actually expands our teaching and our research activities, and frankly, it will improve the quality of our lives. This plan will actually help us invest in and contribute to the San Jose region and the communities within it. Many of our faculty spend 2 to 3 hours traveling to campus. Some live over 4 hours away just to afford housing. Yet they travel to campus every single day because they are dedicated to our students and they're dedicated to the mission of this university. A lack of affordable housing has been the most common concern of our faculty, a concern that I've heard repeatedly over the years. So this plan will not only assist our current faculty, it will help us in terms of our lives, it'll help us in terms of our teaching and our living. It'll also be a tremendous help in recruiting new faculty to the campus. In fact, the reality of high-cost housing has prevented many applicants from accepting our very competitive job offers. President Papazian, the members of her cabinet have closely listened to these concerns. They've talked with faculty, they've talked with staff, they've actively pursued strategies and vision to improve our housing alternatives. This plan actually provides faculty with a truly effective tool in recruiting new faculty from all over the world, and will also help to retain our excellent faculty that we already have. As a faculty member, as chair of the Senate, I look forward to the transformations that this plan will provide. Transformations in the heart and the nature of our campus and in the lives of our faculty and staff. Thanks.
Next, Chair of Staff Council, Janet Sundrud.
Good morning. We have many hardworking and dedicated staff at this university. Many of us have spent our lives, have spent years, if not decades, working at San Jose State and have a deep commitment to the university community. But one of the biggest challenges that we face is keeping up with the steadily rising cost of housing in this region. It can be a real struggle to find affordable housing, especially when the tech sector salaries are grossly outpacing the salaries available at a public university. I'm hopeful that staff who are struggling financially will have a viable housing option that will allow them to focus on their work and on raising their families. With the addition of the Alquist building, there's a lot of potential to enrich the lives of our staff, facilitate a deeper sense of community, and help staff feel more connected to the campus they care so deeply about. I'm also excited that we might be able to encourage talented staff candidates to join our campus when they might otherwise be deterred by the high cost of living. As a representative of the staff, I want to thank President Papazian, the cabinet, and our state legislatures for truly listening to the staff's concerns and taking action on a plan that will directly impact the well-being of the staff at San Jose State University. Thank you.
This concludes our remarks, but it also now begins with questions from the media members to our panel of speakers. Before our president takes the set of questions, I'd like to be mindful that our mayor must leave in a little bit. So I'd like to invite the mayor to answer any of the questions that the media members may have. Only because I'm being mindful of your schedule that you needed to leave, and before our president takes on any questions. So is there any questions from the media with respect to our mayor and his?
I got one of those.
All right, thank you. Thank you then. Now, again, we do have a microphone that Robin has in her hands so that our members of the media may use that for their questions to any of our panel of speakers, beginning with our president.
Hi, what needs to be done to the Alquist building to make it usable for housing? Is it going to be demolished and built on that site? Is it going to be rehabbed? And what's the time frame?
The idea is to actually demolish it and to build a new building, as Senator Bell described. So visually, it's just not a place that can be rehabbed. It would be throwing good money after bad. So that's the plan. We will spend this year planning and putting together all the pieces, making sure that it's meeting the needs of the campus community and the city. And then we hope to have folks in there by 2025, but it'll take a number of years. Never soon enough.
So can you or somebody else put some numbers on the needs here and the classifications of the needs? Immediate needs for housing, long-term needs, and what percentage of all of this, the stuff that's being announced today, addresses?
Well, let me start with the needs for students. Many of the programs, the $3 million of grant funding that will provide for rapid rehousing, emergency assistance, the emergency beds, all of that, those are short-term needs, those are immediate needs, those go into play right away. We have already received some of the funds. We'll continue to receive those funds over the next 3 years. Meanwhile, we will be planning and then constructing CV3 for students. And so the idea is that as we continue to develop the funds for the short-term needs, we are also building additional housing dedicated to students for the long term. So that's that piece. The Alquist building is a long-term solution, but it provides the short-term ability to recruit faculty and to say to them that if you hang in there for a few years, we'll have a solution for you. We do have some short-term solutions for faculty, but it's on a much smaller scale than what is available for students.
But what are the numbers of people that need this housing is what I'm trying to get at.
You know, it's really hard to pin it down because we know that the need is greater than what we see. I'll give you one number. With the Airbnb project that we just ran in partnership with Bill Wilson and the city to support students over the break, we had 60 students take advantage of it. And so that was a pretty significant number. We think that as we have more visibility with SJSU Cares, with outreach through our students and others, we will start to see what that number really looks like. We actually don't know. We know it's greater than what we think because so often students haven't come forward because they haven't seen the results. What we're trying to do now is give them tangible results so that more and more will come forward. So I can give you better numbers probably in about 6 months. On the faculty side, what I can tell you is we lose faculty, and I think it's every year we lose faculty and staff. We have 2 members, for example, of our police department, trying to keep police officers. When we talk about staff, we're talking about support staff, police officers, the people who actually do all the really hard work of making this university work. We lose them every day. We spend a lot of time recruiting faculty, and we lose at least 16 a year, at least.
If the numbers are larger than what you think, what do you think the number is?
I think at this point, what we
Yeah.
will do is move forward with the next media question, and we will follow up with you with regards to the data that we can secure. Thank you. Next media question.
So the next question is, when will students and faculty actually see housing, a bed, a place to stay? Will it be this semester, fall semester 2020, spring 2021, et cetera?
For the short-term needs for students, that's already underway. We already provide some of that support. We will be expanding it in the fall, but some of that's already there, so they're seeing it. For faculty, it'll take some years before we have that. Well, the long-term solution is for students is probably closer 3 or 4 years, for faculty closer to 5. But we have these short-term solutions already available, which we will be expanding as needed for students. And we will be looking at some solutions short-term for faculty as well.
Next, San Jose
Hi.
Mercury News.
Yeah, I see some grant funding on here, and I know you got funding for the planning of Alquist, but has the university identified the funding to actually renovate or build a new housing and multi-use project?
That will be the next phase, and as part of the planning, putting the financial plan together, which we expect will be a partnership. So that we will have more information on over this year.
Okay, and then why the decision to focus on faculty, staff, grad students rather than undergraduates?
It's a great question. Undergraduates, we believe that the housing environment, the residential environment, is also part of the learning environment. So there's various kinds of wraparound services, learning communities, residence assistance, and all of that kind of thing. And so the Alquist building won't have that. We have a very challenging time recruiting and keeping faculty and staff. As I said, we try to recruit about 65 to 70 new faculty every year and 250 new staff. We also have 20% of actually closer to 25% of our student population is graduate students. So that's a significant part of our student population. At the same time, we also have undergraduate students with families, and they too will need a different kind of housing. And so the idea of Alquist, it won't have all of those wraparound services. We are very excited about having a solution for faculty and staff, though. As Ravisha explained, faculty and staff will be more able to be involved with students actually, and student supports take on advising roles, mentorship roles, more flexibility in terms of their teaching schedules, enabled to meet the students where they are if they're not driving 2 hours or more. And so this has been a real problem for us as a university. So that's the reason. There's more services, different kinds of services for undergraduates, and families and faculty, staff, graduate students need a different kind of environment.
Yeah, will the acquisition of the Alquist space, will that free up spaces in some of the other housing units where maybe graduate students or staff are housed now, so that undergrads will have more spots in some of the other established housing units?
That's a possibility, and we'll be looking at that as we assess needs going forward. We have 2 floors of housing in one of our residence halls that are dedicated right now to support faculty, and that's a possibility that those can be repurposed for students down the line. But we'll know that once we have settled on the actual size. The Alquist building could be anywhere from 800 to 1,200 units, and so some of that will involve the planning. The more we can maximize the units, the more able we are to free up some of those current units on campus for students.
Good morning, Chris with ABC News. Can we hear from the Student Homeless Alliance?
Could we Peter has a question for President Papazian first.
Yeah, and this will probably be something for the Student Homeless Alliance as well. You've already talked about short-term solutions. Could you be a little more specific, a little more granular about how this will address students who are in real crisis, who are sleeping in the library or sleeping in their cars?
Well, this is where the partnerships with the community are so important, because there are resources in the community that provide short-term support, but some of it is just helping students with choose the right kinds of housing where they won't be evicted. This is where Bill Wilson is especially effective for us. So trying to ensure that the housing choices that students make allow it to be affordable and allow them to be not vulnerable on being kicked out, frankly. But we will be expanding some of the beds that are available for emergency housing, and then working with our partners in the community to ensure that that students are situated for a long-term solution.
So if there are no further questions for our president, then we will have Brianna join us at the podium for questions from the media.
Did you have a question for President?
No, for
Brianna, I was gonna over here. Good morning.
I'm good. Or
Right here. Got it.
Similar to the last question, Brianna, if you could just give us a sense of how necessary this housing is in terms of the day-to-day difficulties that students have to deal with in trying to make ends meet.
Yeah, so this is obviously a really big crisis. There are 53,000 homeless students across CSU system, but there was 13% here. So the numbers are very high, and it definitely is necessary, but we are excited for the steps that we're taking right now, because it's just the beginning steps. We'll get there, but it is very necessary, and from these actions we'll be able to see how much more we need based off of the results of this.
Next.
hello, Brianna.
Hi.
I know that the Student Homeless Alliance has been wanting this 12 emergency bed pilot program for a really long time. How did you finally convince President Papazian to come around to it?
I mean, Shaw is 25 years old. We've been here for a really long time. I think it's just the approach, the approach we took. We are very excited, and we're willing together to work towards a solution. Persistence, necessarily. So, I think we can thank the past generations of Shaw for standing tall and just being there for us, and it put us in a position today where we can stand here and celebrate a victory for everybody.
Another question?
Yeah, Brianna, you mentioned that this could be an example for other CSUs. What would you tell those students at other campuses who may be looking in?
I would tell other students just to find your friends, find whoever else is passionate about the topic, get together and, I mean, collaborate. Come to us, email us, we can help. Just as we said, SJSU has taken a really big step and has set a very great example for other CSUs, and we were part of the process. So it would be really great if other CSUs, other students could collaborate and work together, find that passion, and come find us, and we can help.
Does this prove anything to you about student activism?
Yeah, it's very powerful, honestly. I know that, you know, after 25 years, sometimes you feel like your voice isn't going to be heard. But today is an example that that's not true. You have to stand up for what you believe in, for justice, and for making things right. And, you know, you never know who's going to be on your side. And obviously this shows that SJSU does care about their students and that they want them to succeed as well. So it's great.
Any other questions to our students before we go to other panel?
Hi.
Yeah, let me just go back to the question before this question. What's the immediate impact of those 12 emergency beds? What will it accomplish? What will it allow you to find out?
Yeah, well, 12 beds, you know, may not be enough, but it will help. That's 12 students that were sleeping in the library, on other people's couches, on benches, in their cars. That's 12 people who are going to be benefited by this. And whether that's 1, 2, 3, however many, there are going to be students that are going to be helped. And in the future, we're going to take more steps towards, you know, increasing that number, like we said, and making it permanent. But for right now, this is a really good step in the right direction.
And what kind of information will it give you?
Well, based off of all of, you know, after our program, we'll be able to see the data and see, you know, how we can accommodate those needs, how we can change them, and how we can, it's basically just the starting point. We'll be able to take this information, move forward with it, and be able to accommodate whatever else we need to do in order to make it work for more students.
Any other questions before we move forward with other interview questions for our panel speakers?
Yeah, I was curious about, I know last year you had met with President Papazian, and you had told her multiple things that you wanted to have done in the near term, kind of walked away a little bit discouraged. Is today's announcement, does that address everything that you had asked for? Or are there still some wants?
I think for the most part, our main goal for that was just to collaborate, to work towards a solution. I think now it doesn't matter necessarily what we asked for in the past, but what we're going to do in the future. And, you know, we're here today, we're taking our steps, we're going to be on the advisory board, so we're going to be able to, you know, address the things that maybe we addressed back in the past. But yeah, for now, this is very exciting for us, especially because, you know, of our past. But, you know, this shows that, you know, change can happen. Change can definitely happen. So it's exciting.
Thank you, Brianna. Now to the media, if there are any questions for our senator, our supervisor, as well as our faculty and staff representatives. We have a question here, Christian, from Spartan Daily.
Yes, for Sydney Chavez, I just want to ask, can you talk a little bit more about the rapid housing work that the county is going to be working with, please?
Sure. So one of the things that we know is that approximately 320 people a month become homeless in our community. And by the way, most of them become homeless because of an inability, even if they're working, to pay the rent for the place that they're living in. So what rapid rehousing allows us to do is get a flag for someone so that before that eviction notice happens or before they're upside down, that there's a possibility for us to give is sometimes a relatively small amount of money to get them stabilized while they make decisions with themselves and their families about whether or not they're going to stay in that home or look for another place to live, or whether or not their financial situation becomes more stable. And what's significant about that, and I think what the students have done such a good job of pointing out is that you have students in that same situation, right, who start school thinking that their situation is one thing, and you may have roommates leave, and here you are in an apartment that you don't quite know how to pay for. I mean, there are any number of circumstances that need to be addressed. One of the reasons I'm so excited about SJSU Cares is that I think it also has the flexibility to determine what the student's needs are. For example, you may have a student that has a financial problem. You could also have a student who's a victim of intimate partner violence. So each of those issues, like whatever those issues are, being able to customize and respond, I think is the work that SJSU Cares is going to get us down the path of better being able to respond. And then to the point that everybody raised, then we're going to better understand what the actual need is, because we're going to have those opportunities to talk to people and help them. But good question. Thank you. Anybody else for me?
Any other?
No.
All right.
Question for Senator Bell. Can you talk about, the building that has been affectionately, occupied by the state? How there might be other state buildings like that, and how this could be maybe a template for throughout California?
Well, we authored SB 6 last year. It was passed into law. The state is supposed to have a database of available sites for affordable housing throughout the state. And then the governor issued an executive order, and he got out of that 100 specific sites throughout California. So there are sites in San Jose. There's 3 or 4 here that are designated as surplus state sites. Obviously, there's going to be surplus county sites. Other kinds of governmental entities also have sites. But in terms of the ones that are located near the university, the Alquist was the one that was the one that was located, and it was an obvious thing to have the university have a relationship with the state to plan the building of the 800 to 1,200 units. So I think there's going to be an opportunity for more sites and with more affordable housing projects throughout the state. I think the universities, all the universities need, and the community colleges need affordable housing. This homeless thing with students is I think, literally getting out of hand. We have to do something about it in a more crisis mode. The university's master plan, for example, should have a great deal increase in the amount of affordable housing that is planned in the university. Once we start planning, then we can start building. So I think that has to be done also.
Other questions for our senator?
Yeah. Is this the first CSU to receive land or building through the state or from the state through this bill or through?
Well, yes, of course it is. We've been working on this for like 3 or 4 years. I mean, working with the state government agencies, the president, the city, the county, and I think the ultimate goal is to complete it. But I think there are, once we decided that we wanted to do this, there are a lot of universities and colleges throughout the state that have sites like this right next to their campus, and including also community colleges. There are community colleges that have a lot of property. We expect a lot of projects for college student, faculty, staff housing. And I think you're going to see a lot more of these kinds of projects.
So, and I guess what I'm trying to get at, and maybe this is a question for you, President Papazian, is there another CSU that is taking this level of action or collaboration in terms of addressing the need for student housing or student homelessness?
I'll let her answer that.
I know all presidents, are very concerned about this. The housing affordability issue varies around the state. So those in high needs areas, San Francisco State, for example, is paying a great deal of attention to it. I don't know of any others who, as the senator said, have gone this route of a surplus state building. But I know others are certainly looking at different opportunities. The Basic Needs Initiatives is another one. I mean, this is a commitment across the CSU. We've been especially focused on it and appreciate so much our partnership with the students on it. But I know there are other will be other solutions across the state. I think we're probably the first out of the gate with this comprehensive plan, looking at the entirety of the campus needs and trying to find short and long-term solutions for our full population.
All right, then. I'd like to thank again everyone from our panel speakers for their time and for their remarks. And this concludes our press conference. As a reminder, our media relations team will be available to provide a guided tour to SJSU Cares under construction office space, as well as assistance to the Alquist building. Thank you very much for your attendance and participation.